What's the weirdest food combination that you secretly enjoy? Let's get weird right off the bat here.
Yeah, I would say
All right, what is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to 5 with T5. We're bringing local business owners, community champions, and all-around amazing individuals on to learn about them, their stories, their business in a quick and effective way. My name is Stephen Turnbull from T5 Insurance, your host. I'm joined by my guest today, Mr. Kyle Tuttle, and we are going to start the clock, as you know, with 5 rapid-fire questions for our guest, and then we will get into learning a little bit more about Kyle today. Mr. Tuttle, you ready to rock today?
yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Number one, coming out of the gate hot. What's the weirdest food combination that you secretly enjoy? Let's get
Um,
weird. Let's get weird right off the bat here.
yeah, I would say this might be weird to some people, but I really enjoy liver, uh, liver and
I like that
rice.
because
So
that is weird and you're being honest, and I like that. And my grandfather, may he rest in peace, loved liver. And I only remembered very little of it when I was a kid. But I will say my roommate, one of my roommates in college, who was only my roommate for one semester, and this wasn't the reason, but maybe one of the reasons, used barbecue sauce on his potato chips. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That's not the reason that we weren't only roommates for a semester, but that's a different story. All right, question number 2. Tell us about a passion project or hobby that you enjoy outside of work. You know what? You
gotcha.
take the tie off, take the tool belt off, whatever it is. What makes you tick outside of work?
Gardening. I really enjoy gardening. I've done it for the last 5 years or so, and this year I've done the biggest garden I've done so far.
That takes patience too. Something
Yeah.
Stephen Turnbull does not have. So I'm not a gardener. I like that. Question number 3. If you could talk to any animal, which animal would you choose and why?
Uh, I would say a dog, because I have a dog, and sometimes I'd like to know what goes through her head, and I'd
Mm.
like to be able to communicate with her better to make her behave a little bit more.
All right. So I think a dog is everybody's answer. What if I asked you that question? You couldn't say a dog.
Um, I would say a bird, just any bird
Any bird.
generically, you know.
Just so you could tell them to
You,
get out of your garden or what?
well, no, you just see them sitting on a branch, and they're chirping away, just to ask them what they're doing, you
Love it.
know.
Love it. All right. For Kyle Tuttle, what excites you about your future?
Um, I think the biggest thing is I'm looking forward to building out a larger team within our company. Um, it excites me to be able to provide people with an opportunity to learn and grow themselves. And for T3, we just hired someone 3 weeks ago now, um, and they've learned so much already. We've seen them kind of grow and come out of their shell a little bit, and they've told us that within the first week of working with us, they learned far more than they did. They were at the MVCC Masonry and Carpentry program.
Hmm.
So just getting, I think that's very rewarding to help teach people and help them grow and pursue their career.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said there. We can dive back into that in a minute, but hands-on experience is what's going to teach you everything. College
Yep.
is great. You need that foundation, but the only way to figure it out is to just do it. Right. I mean, in both of our industries, that's completely true. Last question number 5. This one's a little weird. I don't really think I reviewed this much. I did this late last night, so I apologize. But all right, would you rather have to sing everything you say or whisper everything you say loudly? So you have to either sing everything that you say or you have to whisper it, but in a whispering tone that's loud.
Yeah.
What a great question. Only here on 5 with T5.
I would whisper everything loudly.
Not a singer, huh?
No, not at all.
Not much of a dancer either from the gal. I know we have to try to grab you out there.
Yeah, no,
Your
I
girlfriend and
don't
I got to
I
get
don't
you
sing.
out there on the dance floor from the gal. All right, Kyle, you survived. You survived the first 5 questions. Congratulations! In under 5 minutes, we got about 10 minutes here or so. Let me just start by I want to thank you for your friendship, and I think over the course of I would say the last 5 years, I've always kind of been known as like the young kid in the room,
Yep.
and then Kyle Tuttle came along, and then I was the older young kid in the room. You're just super impressive. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your partnership with the different things that we work on together. And I want to thank you for that. What gets you so excited to have the passion that you truly do? I say all that to lead into. I remember when we were first meeting at Harts Hill. I don't know if you remember that night. Dom Manfredo introduced us and
Hmm.
said, "Hey, you got to meet this kid." Blah, blah blah. We had a conversation, and then at the end, Dom's like, "Yeah, by the way, he's 19," and I'm like, "Huh?" And I mean, this was what, maybe 3 years ago or so. And you
Yep.
joined BNI, and we've been in similar circles together. So, what gets you so excited just to get up and get after it each and every day?
Um, I don't know. I think that's a hard question for me. I guess one thing is I hate sitting around, and I'm also obsessive in a sense. So when I get an idea in my head, it's really hard for me not to go take action on it. Um, but I think one of the biggest things for me that motivates me is seeing the difference that I'm able to make and our team's able to make. Um, obviously, as you know, but people listening might not know. Originally, when I started getting involved in the community, I had started a marketing company, the SBS Marketing Group, and to see a lot of the conversations I have with people is they've grown their business from nothing to a decent amount of revenue. They have a few employees, but a lot of them feel stuck. They feel like they don't know how to move forward. And being able to help them come up with a plan and then implement that plan, and then
Mm,
over the course of several months, they start to see a difference from that, and their business is growing, is extremely rewarding. And then for T3 Building and Restoration, the construction company we just launched about 3 weeks ago now. Just seeing the joy we bring to people when we take the idea of their project and then turn it into reality for them
sure.
is rewarding. So I think to summarize that, just being able to see the difference that we're able to make in people's lives is probably the main thing that motivates me.
Okay. And then I want to get into the T3 stuff and we can talk about all that. But before we kind of move from this topic, what do you think has instilled the confidence in yourself that you have? And I mean, you're a very confident person because it takes a lot for a 19-year-old to show up to a business after hours for the Utica Chamber by themselves to try to meet people, grow a network for a company that you just started that people haven't heard of, and insert all these different excuses of why you couldn't have showed up at that after hours, or why you
Hmm.
weren't ready, or why you were maybe too young. I mean, you were involved in the community, doing all these things, making connections, having coffee with people, joining BNI, joining the chamber while you were still in college, finishing your degree. What, where do you think that comes from? And also at the same time of answering that question, speak to those people, whether they're 19 or 59, that maybe have a hard time with that confidence, or a hard time of putting themselves out there, or betting on themselves, all of that altogether.
Hmm. Yeah, I think one thing to start with that is that no one's actually as confident as they seem, right?
Mm,
Like
so
everyone
true.
has, whether it's the idea of imposter syndrome that they feel like they shouldn't be there, they don't know enough, they're not good enough. Um, so just knowing that and understanding that the other people in the room with you are also not perfect, they have worries in their mind as well. And then the biggest thing that I tell myself, and this has been especially helpful in terms of selling and just reaching out, cold calling, walking into a place, whatever, is that, and this is going to sound a little nihilistic or maybe mean, but each individual person, us individually, we're not as important as we think we are.
Nobody,
If we walk
right.
into a place and they tell us to get out, don't want it to, no one's going to remember. If you're
Mhm.
up in front of a group of people presenting or speaking to a group of people in a networking event and you stutter or screw up what you're going to say, no one's going to remember. People are busy. You aren't that important to them. Not to say you don't matter, but you're just the
No, you're
little things
absolutely
you
right.
do are not that important.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think knowing that and keeping that in your mind is um, essential to having confidence.
yeah. Well, and man, it kind of goes back to the first point we talked about. You just got to do the damn thing. I know
Hmm.
for me, joined the family business in 2016. 2 days into being at the business, I went to a networking event at Piggy Pat's. It was mid July. I've told the story before. It was about 98 degrees. I was now a businessman, so I had to wear the full suit with the tie. I was sweating like crazy, but it was a networking event where you had to get up in front of the crowd and talk for 2 to 3 minutes about your business. Mind you, I just joined 2 days ago, but if I look at that experience to now, if I would have to do that, I probably prepared for 3 days for that 2 minutes, but now I'd be able to do it. And the only reason that is because I've just been doing it and joined BNI, and BNI forces us to get up every week and speak to a group of 30 people. And you just do the damn thing, do the reps, continue to do it, grow through doing it. So that goes through our first point. I love that. T3, let's talk about it. It's not the stepchild of T5. It's not
No.
my grandfather's construction company. I absolutely love the name. I may be a little biased. Um, tell us about it, the thought behind it, the everything. Tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah, so my parents and I have been investing in real estate kind of on the side for the last probably 4 or 5 years or so. And my dad and I do all the remodeling. We buy beat up properties that some of them you couldn't live in. They needed to be redone. Others you could live in, but it would be, you'd be a slumlord at that point. So we buy those, go in. My dad and I redo everything. Flooring, sheetrock, painting, cabinetry, plumbing, all that. And my dad has a lot of experience with that, and so I've been able to learn a lot from him over the last 5 years or so. Um, we wanted to get more into real estate investing, but we realized we only had so much time, and we thought maybe we build a team, train people, and then we can get projects done a little faster. Obviously, even just having one extra guy, it makes it go exponentially faster. And then at the same time, we were thinking that everyone complains that they can't find a contractor. They'll reach out to one and they don't respond, or they respond and tell them they'll have the quote in 2 or 3 weeks, and then it's 5 months later they still don't have it. And then there's the other problem people face where they get a contractor, and I've had numerous people tell me this, that the project that was supposed to take 4 weeks has taken over a year to complete, or it gets left unfinished or finished poorly. And so we just kind of started throwing around the idea of, what if we started a construction company? There's clearly a need for it in the community. Everyone's complaining that they can't find anyone with a reasonable time frame because there's so much work out there. And it just kind of went from there. So we got everything set up. We hired an employee who is new to the trades, and we're teaching him how to do it. And we'll continue to build that team out.
There's so much opportunity out there for this.
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked offline about it, but uh, all the good people are either just way too busy, and the rest of them won't pick up the phone. So it's another example of your entrepreneurial bug where it's like, man, here's a need. We're going to fill this void. And you know what? It's so different than marketing, which is what you also do through the SBS marketing group.
hmm
What's been different for you in the experience of building a marketing company to now building this construction company?
Um,
And also, like, what's been unexpected that you didn't expect as far as building the construction company and the challenges?
yeah. So far, I think the construction company has been a little bit easier in certain ways. And to dive into that a little bit, with the marketing company, it's we're working with a lot of creative people, and the process itself is creative for the most part. There are some elements to it that aren't as creative, but the majority of it is creative. And as you were presenting at BNI, you have this nice book of systems or processes outlined for your business, and that's easy to do when it's black and white. Like in your industry, okay, we got the information from the client. We now prepare the quote based on that information. It gets sent to the client. They sign it or whatever, and then the steps continue. With marketing, you can do that to some extent, but because there's such a creative element to it, it can be harder to create systems. And the other thing that's difficult with it is there's not necessarily a right or wrong. Like
Mm,
if I said, Steven, go make a social media graphic for me, you can put something together and I could say this isn't the quality that we want, but
sure.
that doesn't necessarily make it wrong, right? It does, but it's not black and white. The thing with the construction company is it's more on the black and white side. There is certainly creativity that goes into it, but your wall is either square or it's not square.
Right.
Your floor is either level or it's not level. So I
Sure.
feel in that regard, it's a little bit easier to delegate and teach other people how to do something right because there is more of an objective right with construction.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Kyle, we're quick and to the point on this podcast. We're going to wrap this puppy up. I want two things. Tell people how I get in touch with you, but one thing I want to highlight that we didn't is like what's in your wheelhouse. Who can you help? How can you help them when it comes to the business? Like what type of projects, so that people listening to this can put you in the Rolodex for the future.
Sure. Yeah. So we're a full service general contractor, and that basically means we do most things other than specialty projects. And so what I mean by specialty is if your plumbing is leaking or your electrical isn't working, we're not going to handle that. Call a plumber, call an electrician. Right now we're doing several deck projects. We're doing a few house additions. And we do handle the electric and plumbing for the additions if it's part of a larger project. But basically, if you have a project in mind that you want to do to improve your home, whether it be indoors or outdoors, an addition or just remodeling what exists, give us a call and we can have a conversation and see if it's something that we can help you with.
Cool. Best way to get in touch with you?
Can I get my phone number?
You do whatever you want.
Sure. So
But don't be mad at me. Millions of people start blowing you up, though. Okay.
yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. The best way to get in touch with me would be texting or calling me. My number is 315-272-6516.
Beautiful. And you just have to use code T5 Insurance and you get your free estimate. All right, everybody. That's another episode of T5, 5 with T5. We hope you enjoyed this engaging conversation. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel and Facebook page at T5 Insurance. Until next time, remember the power of connection and learning from one another is what makes our community thrive. But most importantly, remember to make an impact today in someone's life, even if that's your own. Stephen Turnbull here with T5 Insurance. We'll see you next week. Take care.